All right, so wildfires, we know, pose a threat every summer here in the Northwest, but increasingly hot temperatures and dry conditions are compounding the problem. King 5's Glenn Farley takes a deep dive into that growing threat and the impact on both sides of the Cascades in a new special called Scorched Earth, which is airing tomorrow night after football right here on King 5. So Glenn is joining us now. So glad to see you with us and that you got to work on this really in-depth project. Talk to us about why wildfires are getting worse.
Because they are. I mean, not every year is the same. It's not a straight linear line, but overall with the dips and valleys, the trend has been upward and upward and upward.
Just due to, for instance, the temperatures, climate
change, which means higher temperatures. Drier summers. This has been a super dry summer. We are now back in drought again. And remember, we had a record drought in 2015, that 2014-2015 winter that also resulted not only in record fire season in terms of the largest fires in the state in 2014, which was quickly supplanted by an even bigger fire at more than 303,000 acres plus in 2015.
Is it harder to fight wildfires in this state than, let's say, another state? I mean, it seems that we have these intense fires.
Well, when you talk to firefighters, one thing that they worry about is if they fight a fire on the west slope of the Cascades, they say that is considerably steeper and more difficult than on the east slope. Now, in the eastern half of the state, we have more fires. On the western half of the state, we have fewer fires, but also we look at the potential for gigantic fires here, which we have seen in the past.
This is concerning. I mean, I know we've seen some of the situation happening in California. We've seen what the fires have done up in Tahoe and the mountains down there. What we've also seen across the board is just a lot of smoke. And that's what we're dealing with in our side
and
of
5
Washington.
years ago, we weren't dealing with that.
And 5 years ago, this wasn't an issue that every August we were coughing our way through the month, right?
Right. I mean, it really started in about 2017, 2018, 2019, we got a break. 2020, this month, a year ago, was the worst. We had a 6,000-foot thick blanket of smoke on top of it, which was smoke blown out of Oregon and California, out over the Pacific, and then blown back on us. It actually dropped the temperature. It was hazardous. And you'll see some stuff in this series that showed just what we were breathing at that point.
Yeah, that is the thing that's really scary, and it was dangerous for some folks, people who are at risk, who have pre-existing conditions. This is a time that is really, really dangerous. So what can we do? I mean, obviously, we can't stop fires from happening, but we can work on prevention, right?
Well, there's two things that we can do. Each of us can stop being an ignition source for fires. There's 1 million more people living in Washington now, almost that, than there was 10 years ago, based on the census. So each new person is another opportunity for another wildfire. What they're finding that was a particular concern for the Department of Natural Resources this year were these debris burns. People on their property, burning off old brush, whatever it is. Those were getting away because the warmer parts of the season were coming earlier, and that was causing larger fires. And what we had this year already is a record number of fires just in terms of sheer numbers. Some of those fires were an acre, some of those were half an acre. Now this Schneider Creek fire up in the Cascades, just really east of Pierce County in Yakima County, that could become a mega fire. As of this morning, as we're doing this, that was over 97,000 acres. A mega fire is defined as a fire in excess of 100,000 acres.
And I don't know if a lot of people realize this, but when these fires start, this is a nationwide situation for firefighters.
Absolutely.
They have what's called a Type 1 incident command team that comes in. And this is affecting the United States, right?
Well, it's a resource issue, and part of the problem here, what the Department of Natural Resources is trying to do is two things. They're trying to manage the forest better, particularly on the east side, in terms of removing a lot of fuel buildup that we've been doing through 100 years of fire suppression. They also want to own more resources or have more aircraft and things like that under contract to us, because what had happened is traditionally our fire season has come later than it does, certainly in Southern California, even Northern California, all of these other states get ahead of us, and all those big fires have sucked out a lot of those resources.
Right.
So they're trying to hold a lot of that back. They'll loan them out if we're okay, but they won't. For example, they started a tanker base for the first time at the Olympia Airport, and they actually have a large air tanker there that will drop that red fire retardant you see in all of these clips of news video on these major fires that drop out of airplanes to try to stop a fire's progress. There hadn't been a reason to do that before on this side of the state. Now there is. Now they've actually set up a tanker base with a contracted aircraft, and that is dedicated right here for this side of the state.
That's some really, really good news there. It's
Yeah.
a lot, and I know the new legislation is coming to kind of secure more
Well, the
resources.
new legislation's been passed, so we're already seeing some of this. House Bill 11, I think it's 1168, that was done already. That money is already starting to roll out. One of the things that we looked at was one of these forest management. We looked at 2 tracks that were hit by a fire up east of Winthrop. One did well, one did not so well, but even there, that also lowered the amount of energy that was released, which could also protect homes.
Glenn, thank you so much. Again, you can watch Scorched Earth tonight. Actually, check that tomorrow night. I'm so excited. I'm ready to watch it tonight. It's tomorrow night at 9 o'clock. It also airs Sunday morning after the morning news around 9 a.m. So that is good news. Glenn, thank you so much.